The Galactic Combat Academy buzzed with nervous energy as third-year cadets filed into Arena 7. Today marked the final examination, where species from across 17 systems would demonstrate their combat prowess. The stakes? Graduation into the Elite Guard, the most prestigious military force in known space. Zara Chen sat alone in the corner, her dark eyes scanning the competition with calculating precision. While other students chatted excitedly about their chances, she remained silent, always silent. Her classmates had grown accustomed to her peculiar behavior over the past 3 years. The human girl who never spoke during combat discussions, never boasted about her heritage, never even smiled. "Look at the quiet little Earth girl," sneered Rex Valdrin, a towering Krillian warrior whose species had conquered 12 worlds before joining the Academy. His 4 arms flexed unconsciously as he addressed his cronies, still pretending she belongs here with real fighters. Zara's expression didn't change. She simply adjusted her standard-issue training suit and checked her equipment one final time. Her silence had become legendary among the cadets, though not in the way she preferred. Most assumed it meant weakness. They were about to learn otherwise. Commander Thane, a grizzled Vorthan veteran with scars covering half his metallic face, stepped into the arena's center. His voice boomed across the chamber, enhanced by the facility's acoustic systems. "Cadets, today you face the ultimate test. Combat scenarios designed to push your species beyond natural limitations. Winners advance to the Elite Guard. Losers return to their home worlds in shame." The crowd fell silent. Even Rex stopped his posturing. However, Thane continued, his mechanical eye whirring as it focused on various students. "This year we have something special. Our evaluation includes combat against actual Elite Guard members, veterans who've seen real battle, real death." Murmurs rippled through the gathering. This was unprecedented. Usually, final exams involve simulated opponents or junior instructors. Fighting actual Elite Guard members? That was suicide for most species. "First up," Thane announced, consulting his holographic display, Cadet Rex Valdrin versus Elite Guard Captain Marcus Stone. Rex's confidence evaporated instantly. Captain Stone was a legend, a human who'd single-handedly held off an entire Zephyrian assault fleet for 6 hours while reinforcements arrived. The Krillians' 4 arms suddenly felt inadequate. The match began with Rex charging forward, all 4 limbs striking simultaneously in a devastating combination that could crush steel. Stone sidestepped casually, grabbed one of Rex's arms, and used the Krillian's momentum to send him crashing into the arena wall. The impact shook the entire facility. "Pathetic," Stone muttered, not even breathing heavily. "Brute force without strategy. Typical." Rex struggled to his feet, rage building in his 3-chambered heart. He activated a species berserker mode, muscles swelling to twice their normal size. His roar echoed off the arena walls as he launched another assault. This time, Stone didn't dodge. He met Rex head-on, catching the Krillian's primary striking arm with one hand. The sound of bones snapping echoed through the arena as Stone twisted, sending Rex to the ground writhing in agony. Match concluded. Thane announced, "Cadet Valdrin, report to medical." Captain Stone remained for the next evaluation. Several more matches followed, each ending in similar fashion. Elite Guard members dismantled cadets from various species with almost boring efficiency. The Zentorian speed fighters, the morphic shapeshifters, the telepathic Mindari, all fell within minutes. Zara watched each defeat with growing interest. She noted patterns in the Elite Guard techniques, weaknesses in their strategies that others missed. Her analytical mind cataloged every movement, every mistake, every opportunity. "Cadet Chun," Thane's voice cut through her observations, "you're up next." The arena fell silent. Everyone knew about the quiet human girl, but nobody expected her to last more than 30 seconds against an Elite Guard member. Some spectators actually felt sorry for her. "Your opponent," Thane continued with what might have been amusement, "Captain Vex Nightfall." Gasps echoed throughout the arena. Vex Nightfall was the Academy's boogeyman, a Shadowkin warrior whose species had mastered combat in 17 different dimensions. He'd never lost a fight, never even been injured in battle. His black, Shifting form made him nearly impossible to track, and his ability to phase through solid matter made conventional attacks useless. Zara stood slowly, her movements fluid and controlled. She walked to the arena center without hesitation, without fear, without expression. Captain Nightfall materialized across from her, his form writhing like living shadow. "This will be quick," Nightfall spoke, his voice seeming to come from everywhere at once. "I almost feel guilty." Zara said nothing. She simply took her combat stance, weight distributed perfectly, hands loose at her sides. "Begin!" Thane commanded. Nightfall vanished instantly, becoming one with the shadows cast by the arena's lighting system. The crowd strained to track his movement, but shadow walking was nearly undetectable to most species senses. Zara closed her eyes. "What is she doing?" whispered Centaurian Cadet. "She can't see him now." But Zara wasn't relying on sight. 3 years of silence had taught her to listen, really listen. She heard the subtle displacement of air as Nightfall moved through shadow space. She felt the minute temperature changes as his dimensional phasing affected local energy levels. She sensed the electromagnetic disturbances his abilities created. Nightfall struck from behind, his shadow blade extending from the darkness to pierce her heart. The attack should have ended the match instantly. Instead, Zara spun at the last possible second, her hand deflecting the blade with perfect precision. Nightfall materialized briefly, surprise evident even in his shifting features. "Impossible," he breathed. "You can't track shadow walking." Zara smiled for first time in 3 years. It wasn't a pleasant expression. "You talk too much," she said quietly, her voice carrying clearly in the stunned silence. Nightfall snarled and dissolved back into shadow, this time attacking from multiple angles simultaneously. 3 shadow blades struck toward her from different directions, moving faster than most eyes could follow. Zara moved like water, flowing between the attacks without wasted motion. Her counterattack was a simple palm strike, but it connected with Nightfall's true form as he rematerialized for a split second. The impact sent the Shadowkin flying across the arena. He hit the wall hard enough to crack the reinforced polymer surface. Lucky shot. Nightfall gasped, pulling himself upright. Black ichor dripped from his mouth. "Let's see you do that again." This time, he didn't hold back. The arena filled with writhing shadows as Nightfall split his consciousness across 7 different dimensional phases. To observers, it looked like the darkness itself had come alive, striking at Zara from impossible angles. But Zara had spent 3 years preparing for this moment. 3 years of silence, of observation, of learning every combat style taught at the Academy. She'd studied recordings of elite guard battles, analyzed their techniques, found their weaknesses. She moved through Nightfall's assault like a dancer, each dodge perfectly timed, each counterattack precisely placed. Her strikes found him in moments of vulnerability that shouldn't have existed, hitting him when he thought he was safely phased. The tide of battle shifted rapidly. Nightfall, the undefeated champion, found himself on the defensive against a cadet who'd never spoken in combat class. "How?" he demanded between labored breaths. "How are you doing this?" Zara's response was another lightning-fast combination that sent him staggering backward. "You spend so much time in the shadows," she said conversationally. "You forget that light defines darkness. Every shadow has an edge. Every phase shift has a signature. You're not invisible. You're just predictable." Nightfall roared in fury and gathered shadows from across the entire arena, preparing his ultimate technique. The Void Strike, an attack that could tear holes in reality itself. The assembled cadets watched in terror as darkness consumed the arena center. Energy readings spiked beyond safe levels. Emergency barriers activated automatically. Through the swirling vortex of shadow energy, Zara walked forward calmly. The devastating attack parted around her like water around a stone. "Impossible," Nightfall screamed. "Nothing can resist a Void Strike." "You're right," Zara agreed, now standing directly in front of the panicking Shadowkin. "Nothing can resist it, but I'm not resisting anything." Before he could process her words, Zara's hand shot forward in a simple, precise strike to his solar plexus. The impact disrupted his dimensional phasing completely, forcing him back into normal space-time. Captain Vex Nightfall, the undefeated elite guard champion, collapsed unconscious at her feet. The arena erupted in chaos. Cadets from a dozen species shouted in disbelief. Instructors frantically checked their sensor readings. Commander Thane stared at his display screens as if they'd malfunctioned. Through it all, Zara stood silent once more, looking down at her fallen opponent with the same neutral expression she'd worn for 3 years. But inside her mind, a different voice was speaking. The voice of a human child who'd watched her colony burn, while alien raiders laughed at their helpless screams. The voice of someone who'd spent 3 years at the academy not to graduate, but to learn everything she could about the species who destroyed her home. The voice of someone whose silence had been preparation, not weakness. Match concluded. Thane announced finally, his voice uncertain for the first time in decades. Cadet Chun wins. Zara walked back to her corner, without celebration, without acknowledgement of the stunned crowd. She sat down and began checking her equipment again, as if nothing extraordinary had happened. But as she worked, her lips curved into that same unsettling smile. Phase 1 was complete. The Academy had taught her everything she needed to know about her enemy's combat capabilities. Soon it would be time for Phase 2. Rex Valdrin, still nursing his broken arm in the medical section, watched her through the viewing window. For the first time since meeting the quiet human girl, he felt something he'd never experienced before. Fear. The human girl was silent in combat class, then dropped the Apex Warrior. Without blinking, HFY. 3 weeks after the Arena 7 incident, Zara Chen stood before the Academy's High Council. The chamber's crystalline walls reflected light from 17 different suns, creating a kaleidoscope effect that would have mesmerized most beings. Zara remained focused on the 5 figures seated before her. Cadet Chun, spoke Counselor Matamus, her ethereal form shimmering like heat waves. Your performance has raised questions. Questions about what, Counselor? Zara's voice carried the same flat tone she'd used for 3 years. No emotion, no inflection, just words. About your previous evaluations, rumbled Counselor Graniteheart, a mountain-sized being from the Ston homeworld. 3 years of average scores, unremarkable performances, and suddenly you defeat our most accomplished elite guard member. Zara tilted her head slightly. Perhaps your evaluation methods were flawed. The chamber fell silent. Students didn't speak to council members with such casual disrespect. Ever. Counselor Vent, a multi-tentacle kraken spawn whose species controlled half the galaxy's shipping routes, leaned forward. You were scheduled for remedial combat training next semester. Your instructors rated you as barely competent. My instructors, Zara replied with the faintest hint of amusement, saw what I wanted them to see. This admission sent ripples of concern through the council. Counselor Nix 9, an advanced AI housed in a humanoid shell, processed this information rapidly. You intentionally deceived Academy evaluation protocols for 3 years? I observed, Zara corrected. I learned. I prepared. Prepared for what? Demanded Counselor Matamus. For the first time since entering the chamber, Zara smiled. For this conversation. Before anyone could react, the chamber's lights died. Emergency power kicked in a second later, bathing everything in red illumination. The council members immediately activated their personal defense systems, energy shields flaring to life around each seat. Zara hadn't moved from her position. Security breach in council chamber. Announced the facility's AI. Unknown energy signature detected. Lockdown initiated. Cadet Chun, Counselor Graniteheart's voice carried newfound wariness. Step away from the center of the chamber. Why? Zara asked conversationally. I'm exactly where I need to be. The chamber's massive doors sealed with a sound like thunder. Emergency barriers activated, creating an impenetrable cage around the room. Whatever was happening, no one was getting in or out until it was resolved. Counselor Nix 9, Zara continued, would you mind running a diagnostic on your security systems? The AI's mechanical features show confusion. I am detecting no intrusions, no unauthorized access, no system compromises. All security protocols remain intact. Interesting, Zara mused. Then how do you explain this? She pressed something on her wrist, and holographic displays materialized throughout the chamber. Data streams, file directories, classified communications. all flowing past in an endless river of information. These are secured files. Counselor Vent's tentacles writhe in agitation. Level 9 clearance required. How did you access them? The same way I've been accessing them for 3 years. Zara replied. You really should update your security protocols more frequently. The displayed files began organizing themselves, showing Academy personnel records, elite guard combat assessments, and something that made every council member's blood run cold. Detailed dossiers on the Ravager fleet, the alien armada that had been systematically destroying human colonies for the past decade. You've been spying on us, Counselor Metamus accused. I've been learning about my enemies, Zara corrected. All of them. The temperature in the chamber seemed to drop several degrees. Counselor Nix 9's optical sensors focus on Zara with mechanical precision. Explain your statement regarding enemies. The Ravager fleet operates with Academy-trained pilots, Zara said, her voice still maddeningly calm. Their weapons use Academy-approved designs. Their tactics follow Academy doctrine. Curious coincidences, wouldn't you say? You're suggesting the Academy is involved with colonial raiders? Counselor Graniteheart's massive form shifted, causing the floor to vibrate. That's impossible. Is it? Zara gestured to the holographic displays. Cross-reference Ravager attack patterns with elite guard training exercises. Compare their weapon signatures to Academy arsenal specifications. Check their communication frequencies against Academy's standard channels. The council members exchanged glances, then began accessing the data. What they found confirmed their worst fears. The correlations were undeniable, the evidence overwhelming. This doesn't prove Academy involvement, Counselor Vent protested. Former graduates could have stolen our methods. Former graduates, Zara agreed, like Captain Marcus Stone. Every head turned toward her. Captain Stone was sitting in the elite guard barracks 3 levels below, recovering from a training injury. Stone commanded Ravager Squadron 7 during the Kepler Colony massacre. Zara continued. 16,000 civilians killed, including my parents and younger brother. He was wearing Academy colors when he gave the order to burn the residential districts. The chamber erupted in shock protest, denials, demands for proof. Through it all, Zara stood motionless, waiting for the noise to die down. The Academy has been training Ravager officers for 8 years, she said when silence returned. Elite Guard members rotate through their command structure regularly. Your precious institution isn't just complicit in genocide. It's the primary architect. Even if true, Counselor Nix 9 said slowly, what do you intend to do with this information? Zara's smile returned, colder than before. Justice. One human against the Academy's entire structure? Counselor Metamus's form flickered with nervous energy. You'd be destroyed within hours. Would I? Zara asked. Let me show you something else. The holographic displays shifted, now showing Academy personnel files. Not the sanitized versions available to students, but the complete records containing psychological profiles, combat assessments, and personal vulnerabilities. 3 years of silent observation teaches you interesting things, Zara explained. Like how Counselor Vent's tentacles twitch in a specific pattern when he's lying, or how Counselor Graniteheart's mineral composition changes when he's stressed, or how Counselor Metamus unconsciously shifts toward ultraviolet wavelengths when she's afraid. Each council member froze as they realized she'd been reading them throughout the conversation. Most importantly, Zara continued, I learned that the Academy's greatest weakness isn't its security systems or its military strength. It's arrogance, the absolute certainty that lesser species could never threaten the established order. You're threatening the Council? Counselor Graniteheart's voice carried the rumble of avalanches. I'm demonstrating a point, Zara replied. While you've been focused on external enemies, internal rot has been spreading for years. The Academy has become exactly what it was created to oppose, a force that destroys worlds for profit and calls it peacekeeping. She pressed another control and new images appeared. Ships burning in space, colonies reduced to ash, survivors fleeing in terror, all stamped with Academy authorization codes. 47 worlds, Zara said quietly, 2 billion sentient beings. All killed by graduates of your institution under official Academy sanction. The Ravager fleet isn't a rogue operation. It's Academy policy. Why tell us this? Counselor Nix, 9 asked, if you believe we're complicit, why reveal your knowledge? Because some of you didn't know, Zara admitted. Your psychological profile suggests genuine surprise at these revelations, which means the corruption isn't total. Yet, she gestured to the sealed chamber doors. In approximately 30 minutes, my automated systems will transmit all this evidence to every news network, government office, and military command in 17 systems. The Academy's crimes will become public knowledge. You're destroying everything we've built, Counselor Matemus whispered. I'm destroying everything you corrupted, Zara corrected. The Academy's original mission was noble. Train defenders, protect the innocent, maintain peace. That mission can survive, but only if the current leadership doesn't. What do you want? Counselor Vent's tentacles coiled and uncoiled nervously. Counselor Matemus will resign immediately and submit to criminal investigation, Zara said, consulting a data pad. Your psychological profile indicates direct knowledge of Ravager operations. Counselor Granahart will assume temporary leadership while new elections are held. Your moral framework remains largely intact despite institutional pressure. She continued down her list, assigning fates to each council member based on their level of involvement. Some face criminal charges, others merely dismissal. A few will be allowed to remain if they agreed to extensive reforms. You planned this for 3 years, Counselor Nix, 9 observed. Every detail, Zara confirmed. Every contingency. Every possible outcome. I've studied Academy protocols, memorized personnel files, mapped communication networks, and identified every individual involved in colonial massacres. And if we refuse your demands? Zara's expression didn't change. Then Captain Stone and his entire command structure will suffer unfortunate accidents over the next few weeks. Ravager fleet operations will become mysteriously ineffective. Academy graduates will find their career prospects limited. You're talking about assassination. I'm talking about justice, Zara replied. The legal system failed my people. The Academy's internal oversight failed my people. That leaves personal accountability. The chamber fell silent except for the hum of electronics. Each council member processed the implications, realizing they faced someone who'd spent 3 years planning their destruction with methodical precision. There is another option, Zara said finally. Genuine reform, complete transparency, actual accountability for past crimes. The Academy could become what it pretends to be. Under your oversight? Counselor Granahart asked. Under public oversight, Zara corrected, with me as one voice among many. The silent human girl doesn't want to rule anything. She just wants to ensure that what happened to Kepler Colony never happens again. The displays shut down, leaving the chamber in normal lighting. The lockdown protocols deactivated with audible clicks and hisses. You have 29 minutes to decide, Zara said, checking her chronometer. Choose reform or choose consequences. Either way, the Academy as it exists today ends in half an hour. She walked toward the door, then paused without turning around. Oh, and Counselor Matemus? Captain Stone is waiting in conference room 3. I thought you might want to discuss his resignation before the evidence goes public. His psychological profile suggests he'll cooperate fully to avoid execution. The door sealed behind her, leaving 5 of the galaxy's most powerful beings to contemplate their futures. Outside, Zara Chen walked through corridors she memorized 3 years ago, past classmates who still saw her as the quiet human girl who never spoke in combat class. They had no idea that their silence had been her greatest weapon, or that sometimes the most dangerous enemies were the ones who waited patiently for the perfect moment to strike. Behind her, emergency sessions began as the Academy's leadership scrambled to prevent the complete collapse of their institution. Ahead of her lay uncertain futures, but also the possibility of actual justice for the billions who died in Academy-sanctioned raids. Zara smiled one final time, then resumed the neutral expression she'd worn for 3 years. After all, there was still work to do.